to court this past week to challenge his gun ban. Blackface Northam! In other words, do as I say, not as I do. You see, this isn't about authority, folks. Democrats in this state are exercising sheer, unadulterated power without authority. So GOA and VCDL, we appealed our case to the Virginia Supreme Court on Friday, but the court punted. They never actually ruled that the governor's order was lawful. Instead, they used a procedural tactic to leave the gun ban in place for today. So if you're inside the fence, here we are. We've been subjected to an egregious disarmament, just as was done by General Gage to our founding fathers in 1774. Virginia's Royal Lord Dunmore did the same thing in 1775, when under the cover of night, he raided the Colonial magazine. Democrats like Northam are following in their footsteps today, and they're copying the pattern of Democrats of old, the very ones who told Martin Luther King Jr. that he wasn't good enough to carry a gun. He couldn't be trusted. Democrats denied his application for a carry permit in 1956, and they're still trying to deny our gun rights today. As we stand here today, on a day that honors King, I have one simple message. No one who is listening to my voice right now should ever again vote for the party of gun control. Never. I'm talking about the party of Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and yes, Lord Northam. Their party is anti-rights. It's anti-gun. Their party has declared war on the Second Amendment. And whenever they gain power, they set out to ban people's guns. No gun owner should ever help them get a majority at the state or federal levels. And let me give you a word of encouragement. If you have not been voting, please make sure that you are registered to vote. I'm not going to embarrass anybody, ask for a show of hands as to who has and who hasn't been voting, but if you're not registered, please get registered to vote. Get your adult children registered, your pro-gun friends and family, and get them to the polls. That's the best way that we can make a difference. It's by replacing these lawbreakers. We need to throw the bums out. We need to clean house in the next election. You know, I mentioned what our founding fathers went through. There is a lot that we can learn from them because they were not strangers to oppression. On this day, 242 years ago, do you know where Virginian George Washington was? He and his men were freezing their butts off at Valley Forge. Men were dying. You think it's cold here? They were dying from exposure, influenza, pneumonia. Almost 2,000 of his troops died during that stay at Valley Forge. So how did that ragtag group win against a better funded, well-rested enemy? Let me tell you, one of my favorite portraits of all time is hanging in my office right now. It's a portrait of George Washington in the snow at Valley Forge next to his horse, praying. I'm sure many of you have seen that picture. And yes, I'm sure it's embellished somewhat, just like many other pictures from that time period, but many the people who knew Washington said that was the kind of man that he was. He was a man of prayer, and that's why I like that portrait. It's a reminder to me of where the real battle is won. And George Washington knew this. And so did our other founding fathers. Listen to the words of Thomas Jefferson, another Virginian, penned in the Declaration of Independence. He said that in the midst of the war that they were fighting, that they were appealing to the supreme judge of the world to give them the help that they needed. The supreme judge of the world? Look, folks, they weren't talking about the United Nations. Those are the words that every founding father signed his name to in agreement. And for us, we would do well to remember their example. But you know who else should remember their example? Lord Northam. He doesn't recognize the God-given rights that are spoken of in the Declaration of Independence. He thinks our rights are mere privileges. He wants to take your gun rights away, but let me ask you again, does Virginia need more gun control? No! How will disarming you and me lower the crime rate? That's the question he can never answer, nor can he tell us how any of the new laws that he's advocating would have stopped the tragedy in Virginia Beach last year. He can't answer that question either. Look, I'm running out of time, so let me end with this. I'm cutting this short, but we have a powerful speaker coming up next who's going to talk to you about how we really stop a bad guy with a gun. Because it's not gun control. Gun control doesn't stop bad guys with guns. Background checks don't stop bad guys with guns. A good guy with a gun does. And he's going to speak to you in just a second. But let me say this. The passion and the activism that's here today, it has to be a way of life. We have to stay vigilant. We have to pray. We have to vote, or we are going to lose our rights. The governor may think that he has won the day today, but he has only strengthened our resolve. As John Paul Jones said when all hope seemed lost, and the British commander ordered him to surrender the ship, he said, "I have not yet begun to fight." Everyone, this here is a start. It is not the finish line. We will not compromise. Thank you for being here today.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you, Eric. The next person, a plumber by trade, saved countless lives at a mass shooting at a Texas church in Sutherland Springs in 2017. Without hesitation or concern for his own safety, he grabbed an AR-15 and ran barefoot toward the sound of gunfire. He didn't run away from it, he ran towards it. Coming from the gunfire coming from a church, and he engaged in a gunfight with a mass murderer. The murderer lost. Let's have a round of applause for Stephen Williford.
Thank you very much. I just want to say I'm going to go a little bit off the script here, and I'm going to tell you that this is more scary than facing someone shooting at you. I'm from Sutherland Springs. My community is under 600 people. And on November 5th, 2017, evil came into our church and started killing my neighbors. I grabbed my AR-15, the same kind of rifle that these politicians are trying to ban today. And I ran across the street. I confronted him in gunfire. He hit the truck in front of me, the car behind me, and the house behind me. And I hit him. Had I had anything other than an AR-15, I probably would have been counted among the casualties. He had on Class 3 body armor. Now that you know a little bit about me, I want to talk about who you are as Virginians. Virginia is the state, the birthplace of the Declaration of Independence, the state instrumental in designing the Constitution of the United States, one of the greatest documents ever written. Virginia, where founding fathers like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison crafted the Bill of Rights. These rights are protections from the very government that sits in this Capitol building and tries to strip them from you. These rights were given to you by God, not by them. Thomas Jefferson wrote himself, "The Constitution of most of the states assess that all power is inherent in the people, that it is their right and duty Get that? Duty
Curlin's so badass, he doesn't
to
even
be
need a
armed
weapon.
at all times.
Hey, you catch that?
This freedom has been fought for and proclaimed in your streets, your cities, and your countryside. The blood of American patriots has been spilled here for that freedom. Freedom for tyranny, freedom for a government that ignores the voices of its people. Now all of America's eyes are on you, Virginia, wondering whether you will let your rights be encroached upon. This is not just a Virginia problem. We've dealt with governments trying to disarm us before. In 1775, hundreds of British troops marched on Lexington and Concord to confiscate a cache of weapons, knowing that if they could disarm us, they could control us. They were met by over 2,000 Minutemen, farmers, trade owners, and shop owners. Together, these men drove back the British, and they kept their arms and their rights to bear them. This launched a war that would give birth to the greatest nation this world has ever known.
You got him going, you got him going.
Yeah!
Less than 100 years later, in 1835, the Mexican military, controlled by Santa Anna, attempted to seize weapons from Texas settlers. When they arrived to seize the weapons, they were met with a flag bearing the sign of a cannon and the words, "Come and take it." The Mexican soldiers were met with a hastily formed militia of Texans, and they were repelled. Gonzales kept its cannon. And the Texans, with volunteers of other states, including Virginia, won their independence, became a republic, and joined the United States of America.
You know, not necessarily all a bunch of conservative
your own
folks.
Virginians
I mean, a bunch. I mean, I'm sure there's
fought
definitely it's
and
probably
died at
leans
the Alamo.
center right, but there's some people out here that definitely are not. I had it in my other video
From the Civil War
that I just did.
to World War I and World War II,
Named Corey
Korea,
from St. Louis.
Vietnam,
He is,
Desert Storm,
came out here,
and
he's
present
supporting gun rights.
conflicts.
You know, it's
Brave
just really
men
great. There's a
and
lot of
women
awesome signs out here.
have
People,
fought and
you know,
died
street fair,
and
people
answered
selling.
the
There's,
call
like, street
for
vendors
freedom.
out here selling a bunch of stuff.
We've fought these
you know,
battles
there's people
before.
signing,
Now instead of sending an army,
recall petitions.
the government is sitting in this
It's just
house
really amazing,
that
people.
you built
I'm just really stunned
and trying to
see
legislate
this
away
out
your
here
rights.
today.
We will not stand for it.
Yeah.
This time, with the wars of
Appreciate all your
past
likes and shares. Everyone
behind
watching, thank you
us,
for watching.
let us
Share
use our
everything
voices
you can.
to proclaim freedom loudly again and let them know they will not disarm
Just try
us.
to get a lot of. Oh man, here's some brave out here. Look at that.
James
Yeah,
Madison,
you're right, Lan.
the crafter of the
It's not right or
Constitution,
left.
believed
The
our
Bill of
freedoms
Rights
would
is
more
right or
likely
left.
be
I agree with you on
gradually
that.
and silently
Policy.
encroached upon than violently taken
Rudy,
away.
that's the Rhodesian shorts out
These
here.
men
Love
in
that.
power
Love it.
are trying
You're
to
braver than I am.
silence
Like, I don't want to be out
encroachment
here in shorts. I
and
can
take
see
away
some,
our
I can
rights,
see some goosebumps
hoping
on
that
your
the
leg
people
right
would
now.
be too complacent and too lazy to stand against them.
Mad respect
Well,
for
we're
that.
not either
How's everyone been out here?
lazy
Is
or
everyone-
complacent.
I haven't
We
had
won't
anyone
stand
be-
for it.
Yeah.
We won't
It is.
stand idly by and watch our Constitution and our rights that American soldiers throughout history have shed their blood and died for
Yeah,
be
this is
destroyed.
like, this streets are slammed.
Let's
man.
stand in
It's like, there's gotta be
solidarity
100,000 people in the city. Easy. It's freaking nuts.
And use our voices to let people in this capital know we will not let them take our rights away. President Ronald Reagan said it best. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on through the bloodstream. It must be fought for and protected and handed to our children for them to do the same.
Michigan stands with Virginia.
We must be vigilant. We must be united. and we must stand tall and speak loudly. As the heart cannot tell the lungs, I have that you have cancer, but I do not, so it's none of my affair. Neither can we stand by from California to Texas, all the way to Maine and all states in between, and say that it is none of my affair. It affects all of us. The world is watching right now to see what we'll do.
This is like awesome.
Let it never be said that it is my generation that failed to stop all this tyranny. That it was my generation that let it down for my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, and even their children. We have 3 boxes in which to defend our freedom, it's been said. The first box is a soapbox, which I stand on today and speak, and so does everybody here.
Almost everyone in the state,
the second box is the ballot box.
Or sanctuary.
November.
There's only a handful of
go out,
that have agreed
get registered,
anything that
and vote.
Passes.
The third and final box is the cartridge box.
Good outcome. Thank you. Have a great one.
Let's hope that we are generations away from using the cartridge box because it's the last ditch moment.
I really feel sorry for you.
I need to let everybody know today,
amazing.
Including the people in this building, we are not the aggressors.
Really
here.
awesome folks here.
We are here coming in peace. We are not the aggressors.
I mean, there's some media types here.
But we will not comply with bans, registration, or confiscation. We will not comply. We as legal gun owners, as citizens,
these orange stickers.
We have our backs against the wall.
She's open carrying.
And we will not negotiate anymore. Really, it's time to take back.
Just incredibly.
No more negotiations.
It's so hard.
If they come to our homes to take our arms and to infringe on our freedoms and violate our freedoms, they are the aggressors.
Yeah, it's like
they cannot come into our homes. They are the aggressors.
Everyone has been freaking amazing.
And we will stand together.
He's open carrying.
Thank you for standing with me today.
Lots of people.
God bless Virginia.
All right!
God bless you. God bless you.
God bless the United States of America. We stand together.
We love you, brother.
Are you from Virginia?
Well done.
Yeah, you want to just chat on camera? You don't have to. I'm a live
USA! 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 USA!
Like everyone's being like great.
No more gun control. No more gun control. No more gun control. No more gun control. No more gun control.
This is freaking bigger than SHOT Show. It's like great folks out here.
Brendan Mooney and our lobbying team leaders and the members that lobbied today in the morning, and to all of you who came here peacefully.
It's like a fair out here. I swear it feels like a county fair. People selling stuff, everyone's being awesome. Nice.
This concludes Lobby Day 2020.
Good day out here.
I look forward to seeing you next year.
Lots of great people out here today. Yeah,
have a great afternoon
for y'all.
And have a safe trip home. Thank you so much, folks.
Cops are having an easy day. So. Hey, Phil, we're going to line. How's it going, fellas?
Let me get a picture real quick.
It's been really uneventful. I've been really happy. Lots of great people out here.
Take the stand with Virginia.
Lots of good folks. I've seen rallies a lot worse than this. Believe me, this is like the most peaceful, heartwarming thing I've seen. Hey, y'all have a great day.
Jump up there and get a picture with you?
Have a fun one. Enjoy that overtime.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you. Right up here.
Here, guys, live in.
I'm
Richmond, Virginia.
My phone's actually getting a signal.
There with Stephen.
You know, it's
Stopped the Sunland Park shooting
out here.
in Sunland Park, Texas, and that's what it's all about. This picture right here, I want to show you guys again. Had the honor of being able to hold that while he was speaking.
Thanks for all the shares, folks.
And,
thanks for all the likes and shares.
But this is what it's all about. We absolutely stand with our law enforcement, those who protect and serve. But when, as he said, when seconds matter, you can't be waiting minutes. That's why we have an armed citizenry. God bless him and everybody who stands for this country. We're going to go around and talk to the folks. I got to show you guys, if you guys are just joining us again, we're here in Richmond, Virginia at the Second Amendment rally. I'm going to reorganize myself here real quick.
Should we wave at him when we're coming down? There we go. Ooh, that was the speakers.
Hey, Will, come here.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're going to keep the stream open for a little bit longer, see what's going on. Go out in the streets, go across the streets, see what's up.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really awesome folks out here. Like this is grassroots.
I don't know if they want the sign back. We'll set this back against the wall. Hold it.
Thanks. Yeah, you know, it's like people are like, what, you know, there's not a bunch of people lined up being, I mean, the only signs I'm seeing like handed out in any like mass produced signs are the one that have they're the VCDL signs that are like the sanctuary counties that show 94% of localities want
Will Johnson, United America First.
Support is coming in.
Society is a polite society. And you're certainly seeing that today in Virginia. People are walking around.
Outfits and costumes out here.
And there's really no sign of any protest or anyone who's against the rally. It's really just people who are supporting and standing up for the Constitution.
Make our way back.
Only sexy men embrace the Second Amendment. I love that stuff. You know, there's another tricorn hat. It's like, hey, thanks, great signs. Thank you. Yeah, this is what's awesome, man. Like like the part that sucks about living in San Francisco. As much as I love San Francisco, like this stuff doesn't happen there. This is not a California thing. This is This is not something you see in San Francisco. Of course, there's some media here interviewing people. Lots of.
Then they try to tie it to this event, which is them again pushing their narrative. It's completely discussing to go right along with the state of emergency, like they're gonna bring the violence. The only reason why we don't have any violence is because the left is not here.
Oh, it's been incredible support.
Yeah, there's the Capitol. Back.
Very moving, I think.
It has been peaceful. Every step I've taken is peaceful and very respectful. Your arm, what did you bring with you?
AR-15.
Had to stop in. And you made sure you didn't try to get onto the common streets, right?
Correct, yes. No guns in here.
Why did you want to be on that?
I think it's I carry all the time anyway.
You do.
Not necessarily AR-15, but, you know, this is show that the right thing you have,
Colorado here. Did you grow up around arms, or did your family teach you that kind of? How long have you been shooting?
Yeah,
Fly. 15. Hey, talk to him, not to me.
Yeah, after 15 hours for me, and I'm 15 hours.
So you have a lot of patriots out here who are filming interviews of the media with their phones because they don't think they're going to get a fair shake from some of these networks.
One last question. You're one of the few women that we've seen out here. Do you think other women should be, learning to use arms and arm themselves? And again, Victor, it is a good question because walking around here, it's behind you right here. It's all men. You're one of the few women we found out here. Do you think more women should be out here?
Absolutely, yes. I feel
again, I'm Scott, and I know from you.
The VCDL rally was just packed with folks. It was just, you know, conservative, like as far as people that are carrying guns, there's probably 20,000 people in Virginia, in Richmond right now with carrying long arms, and they're no one's even raising their oh, like this one. The guillotine.
Excuse me, is your name Michelle?
Yes.
Can I do an interview with you? Breitbart News?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great. What brings you out here today? Oh, sure, you're doing your thing. Sorry, you're good, you're good. Yeah.
Actually, she's off the tune leader.
I really thought that it was very important to be out here to show my support for what we have going on right now. I think this is a historical landmark, and I'm honestly honored to be out here and be a part of it. I think that we should do everything we can to support the rights that so many men and women have died to give us. So that, in a nutshell, I guess is why I'm out here today.
And what would be your message to the governor today if you had the opportunity to speak with him?
Should I keep this PG?
Your call.
I think this speaks for himself, for itself. If he could look and see how many people are out here and how peaceful this event has been, that is what gun ownership is, and that's what we do. So I hope that he can see and recognize that, and recognize the error in his ways.
Now, is this your gun here?
It is, yes.
All right, where'd you get it?
I got this at a gun show, actually, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And do you have a lot of friends or family that agree with your stance?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Most of my friends and family agree with my stance.
And where are you from?
I grew up outside of Greensboro, North Carolina, but I live in Virginia currently.
Like, this is great. Like, this is
Second Amendment rally
just an amazing day. So many great patriots out here. How's it going? So many great, like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I've got some really awesome. Hey, good to see y'all. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, there's some of my folks here. These awesome people. Folks carrying. Hey, how's it going? People are carrying some serious gear, you know, and like nothing's happened. Like, people are carrying, you know, like not just pistols and rifles, but they're carrying plate carriers, and they've got like a full mag loadout, body armor. People are carrying, you know, there's 2 different people passing with ballistic shields, breaching shields. Yeah.
Again, it's been a peaceful event. I feel safer here than I've ever felt. So, great turnout. Great turnout. I don't know the total number yet, but I would say 100,000 plus maybe here. So, whatever the more common news media shows you, however much they try to downplay it, there's a great turnout here, and it's been peaceful. It's been great.
Yeah, speaking of which, do you think the establishment media is going to give you guys a fair shake?
Man, it's hard to say. I highly doubt it. But, you know, we're here, you know. We've been the silent majority for so long. We can't be silent anymore. We can't be silent anymore.
That's right. Let me ask you, who do you think is going to suffer the most from gun control legislation being passed in places like Virginia?
Responsible gun owners. Responsible gun owners that go through the process and take the steps. You start taking our guns away, the bad guys are still going to have the guns, you know. This makes me feel safe at night. So.
And speaking of which, why don't you talk a little bit about how you think gun control laws would affect women?
Oh, absolutely. I carry with me every day. I don't feel safe without a firearm with me. I think one of the more common things you'll find in any of these abduction cases, the women didn't have a firearm with them. You know, it could be a totally different story if you were just a responsible gun owner and knew how to use your firearm and did carry.
And do you know of anyone who has been able to use a firearm to defend themselves in any sort of situation?
Yeah, actually, absolutely. Actually, growing up, I had a family friend that was in a kind of a similar scenario and was able to ward off a home invader. So.
And what would you say to people that are who believe that confiscating guns and passing more gun control is actually going to save lives?
That's just absurd. That's just absurd. Like I said, responsible gun owners, if you take our guns away, the bad guys are still going to have the guns. They're going to find a way to get guns. They have, and they will continue to. And it's not going to do any good.
We had rallies like this 30 years ago in California, and now you live.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry. Everyone's been pretty great.
Don't have a Second Amendment anymore.
No,
unless
I mean they're trying to get it down to.
I hear you, Matt. I hear you, Matt. You talking?
You had the longest wait.
I can hear you.
So we let them take an inch out there in California.
Yes. You got awesome, brother. Yeah, he can hear me too. Awesome, man. All right, we're live. I think we're live on Facebook. So for the Facebook audience, stay tuned. We're a minute.
Everyone's been really
out.
great.
We're about to go live on Matt Lock and Load with Matt Lock. I'm here with Will Johnson, Matt. United America First.
Well, at least he's honest about it.
This beautiful day. All right, he said all right, but that's.
Oh, there's some people marching up.
This is Matt saying I'm louder than snot. That's coming from Matt Lock. That's saying something.
Racists aren't welcome here. Racists are out there. Go.
You know what?
Sorry.
Saying something.
Racists aren't welcome here. Racists are out there. Go.
You know what?
Sorry.
Saying something.
Racists aren't welcome here. Racists are out there. Go.
You know what?